Enjoyed them all. Value for time. Particularly, all of them had their own themes. The garbage dump was a little, we didn't expect a garbage film to be shown, but was a surprise. So thank you. Good selection.
I think this film is still very real and very visceral for me. I think that is how we shot something which looks very physical, very visceral. And basically there were 2 points of view. Sometimes you are outside the train and sometimes you are inside the train. Though as he has pointed out, Mukul has pointed out earlier, there was no protagonist. It does not revolve around any central character. It could be anyone traveling or it could be anyone watching. See, when we started this film, Vinayan and me, we studied together in Film Institute, Pune. So we had known each other for maybe 10 years. More than that, 15 years. So actually we didn't brief anything. No one told anything to anyone. But I think, the basic idea was that it should look experiential. Lot of sweat, lot of people being crowded together. Lack of space, very compressed space. That kind of idea. Nothing more than that.
I must compliment you. You succeeded on that because I got the feeling of being inside the train amongst the people, very real. You succeeded beautifully.
I'm really much better off. So, yeah, sure.
I wanted to ask you, how do you sort of make your own space when you're shooting the train? Obviously, it's crowded, but it looks like no one ever dared come near you to even, touch the camera, because when everyone else is being jostled, the camera is sort of staying, still and this, so distant. It's not distant, but you do get into close-ups now and then, but how do you maintain that stillness?
You must have kept the camera on the top.
See, usually most of the times we were on tele lenses. Though the space was small, but go on tele, be at a distance from where your action is. So you end up shooting a lot because most of the time your frame might get covered by something in between. But you do see people hitting your camera. The beginning shot of when the train enters the Vinayan station. So you see the people hitting the camera, and that was the end of that shot. Though he's kept. Lot of time people were there. I think Vinayan did use those images. So some of the cleaner and more neater images have been kept. But it was a production nightmare. I mean, to shoot people entering at Dadar at peak hour of 8 or 8:30. We used to go to Virar at 6 and settle down in one corner, take a train at 7 o'clock to get one shot of people entering Dadar at 8 o'clock. So those kind of production problems. And tele lenses. So you are at a distance from what you are shooting.
I was actually wondering, why did you keep away from sort of showing any sort of interaction between people in the train? If you see the entire film, there are people who are going by the train, there are people who are looking at the train, but there is never a moment where people within the train sort of interact. So if I use for a comparison another film which was on the train, like for example Nidhi Tuli's Lady Special, it is all about the interaction in some ways, which is sort of, like even if you're traveling alone, it's always about your eavesdropping, you're wondering what the other person's saying, that idea sort of travels with you. And I saw that the whole film kept away from that, and I was wondering, like, what was the...
I have not seen Nidhi's film, but from what I've heard about it, I think it's not, let's not compare films, but
No, I didn't mean to...
Journeys is not actually about emotions and human element. It's not about how people survive in spite of all this. It's more about the dehumanizing aspect of the travel. So we were not into too much of how people, in spite of all this, manage to reach their destination every day.
My question was that, as you said, you used mostly tele lenses. You have mostly used telephoto lenses and occasionally very extreme close-ups also. Why did you also not use some wide-angle lenses, because that would actually bring the drama even a little more. It would probably accentuate that essential dehumanizing element that you're talking about. Why the decision to use only telephoto lenses?
See, the drama part, I think, has been created mostly through edits, and I think a lot of good work by Mohandas on the soundtrack. When we shot, we were visually, I think my idea was to compress space, make it feel crowded, and lot of what Mukul has pointed out, it's a lot of observations and small details.
It's not a question, it's just a reaction to the film. I think for someone who's been traveling in local trains in the last 20 years, I think this film is timeless. There's no change. Only change probably will be people will be carrying mobile phones and talking inside the train, which was not here. So you rather see, like for example, a couple of days back when I was taking my train back to Borivali, I just saw everybody doing something with their mobile phone. And here they are either a newspaper, or they're sleeping, or they're lost or looking outside. I think it's a great. I think a camera has just been an observer to the city and to the people, and I think it's one way of looking at the city which is always in motion and people don't have time for each other, and it's fantastic. And what kind of complements the whole visual aspect is the underplay of soundtrack, or not overdoing, and so you feel a sense of claustrophobia without hearing the sounds that people are getting rubbed into or pushed into. I think it's an amazing film. I mean the drama, if someone's not seen it, I think there's lots of drama in that. So tele or wide or irrespective of the use of camera, I think the city itself is so dramatic, and what you've captured is just a perfect tribute to Bombay in some sense. So magnificent, fantastic.
Thank you, very well done indeed. I want to know, where have you exposed this film and have you sold it? How is the response in the market?
It was sold to, there's a organization in New York called Framework or something. So they were sold the DVD rights, and I think Vinayan gets 1 penny out of every dollar or something every time a DVD is sold.
I missed one best discipline and well-organized group, that is Mumbai Ka Dabbawala. So I think I was missing that. It must be there.
As far as the Dabbawalas are concerned, there are many films that have been made on them, including I think one by Films Division, which we might screen at some point later. So we'll keep you in the loop on that.